This podcast is part of the Batman Universe Podcast Network, hosted by the BatmanUniverse.net. Check out everything related to Batman and the entire Bat family at the BatmanUniverse.net, including news and original content related to comics, movies, television, merchandise, video games, and more. Also, check out some of the other unique podcasts that TBU has to offer. Consider supporting this podcast by becoming a patron on Patreon. Even $1 can go a long way in supporting this content that you enjoy. Look for a link over at the BatmanUniverse.net to offer your support now. And now, on with the show.
Hey everybody, this is Tim, former GameStop employee. This is episode number 202. My name is Dane, and with me as always is Tim, the former GameStop employee. And we were just talking about GameStop, how they would try to sell you on accessories to the game you were buying, right? So you buy the new Final Fantasy, and they try to sell you on the strategy guide, an extra controller, a memory card, what else? Snacks. There's this other,
yes.
There's this other RPG that you might like as well, right?
Don't forget, we had the used copy if you want that instead.
Oh,
I always had
I forgot. And before we forget, Tim, are you a club member?
Yes.
Right.
See that you really had to push if you were if they were buying a used game, because that you get back when I was working there, you'd save 10% off every used purchase. So if someone was buying a used game or a used controller, you'd really try to push that membership so they can get the 10% off.
I think I was a member once because I can't remember which game, but Game Informer, it was the cover story.
Mm.
But I can't remember which game it was. And I was like, oh, okay, I'll become a club member so that I can read this one magazine.
It was actually a pretty good deal. For $10, you got a year's subscription of Game Informer plus that discount card. Your savings would end up paying for it pretty shortly if you bought just maybe even 2 used games.
Yeah. How much was the discount?
10% off. Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
So if they were buying, I try to sell people on, if they were buying like a lot of used items and it amounted to, let's say, like $80, I go, hey, if you get the discount card, you'd really only be paying $2 for it right now because you're already going to be saving 10% off your $80 purchase. So you're paying $8 for it already. So why not just sign up and get it? It's just an extra $2. A lot of people did.
and was it commission based or something? Is it like a bank teller trying to get you to sign up for
they try to give you quotas to meet for the week or the day. We wouldn't benefit off it for like getting any extra money, but just for the company to make our store look good. It's about it.
I see. So it wasn't really incentive based.
They made it incentive based, even though there was no really an incentive. It'd be like, hey, sometimes they'd have things with district managers. If your store is number 1, you'd have a pizza party or something like that. We'll buy you pizza for lunch. Yeah.
It's either that or you'll be fired. For now.
Dude, you'd get talking to if your numbers weren't good. So that was the worst part of the job.
Selling the club membership.
That and the reservations. Just having that looming over your head and your day at work. I gotta try to get this amount of reservations, this amount of subscriptions.
What do you mean? Like they would try to push, or they would have you push reservations on
for any new upcoming game. Yeah, someone buys a game, you try to push them or try to get them to reserve another upcoming game while they're buying that one.
So what if I come in specifically to reserve a game, but not the game?
That's fine, as long as they reserve something.
So a game. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Ah, man, this GameStop thing never gets old, Tim. No matter how many times we talk about it, I learned something new.
You're so fascinated by the GameStop employee histories.
Well, I mean, because I never worked there, and by the time I was old enough to work there, I didn't really go to the store anymore. I mean,
yeah,
I didn't really browse around like I used to. So endlessly fascinating.
That's why I'm curious now, just how busy the stores are compared to when I was working there, knowing how much people are playing games digitally now and buying things digitally. Of course, you'd have to, well, even you don't have to. You can get controllers and stuff online from Amazon or something. So,
yeah. Well, I don't know if, I mean, this isn't any sort of excuse for GameStop, but the GameStop that I went to, right, it was near a military base, a Marine base. And so those guys, I guess they couldn't find video games on base, right? So they would have to go to this GameStop. And maybe it's the same way. Maybe there is no game store or there's no place to buy video games on base. So maybe they're still going to GameStops.
Yeah, I guess it depends on the area too, how much people need an actual store to get their copies.
Yeah.
Remember,
go ahead.
Remember the GameStop was supposed to go through this big revamp for their store to try to make it more of an experience to get more people in there, to have it more like a gaming lounge type scenario.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's still in the plan, because I haven't heard much of that.
I remember them putting folding chairs, like those, steel folding chairs in front of the console demos. Like you could, one person could play it, and then another person or two or three can sit down and watch it. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about, but
it was kind of into that vein, but to have it be more part of the store, like there would be an actual section where there's a couch and big TV monitor set up for people to play and try out games. Yeah, so I know that was the plan.
The Microsoft stores did that. I mean, I know that they're closing down their retail stores.
Yeah, I just saw that yesterday.
Yeah, but the Microsoft store with the Xbox One, when the Xbox One came out, did that. They would have like 3 or 4 couches in their store, and a big screen and console. I don't know if that was just exclusively like a limited time sort of thing where they were trying to push the Xbox One. But that's the only place I've ever seen that, where they had like a separate area where you could sit down and watch somebody or watch a demo of the Xbox One game.
I wonder how long you'd get to play it too. If there's someone there watching you with a time clock, just saying you got 10 minutes, then the next person would come in.
Like, your 10-minute period is up. You have to let somebody else play, but you just got to the interesting part.
Yeah. I would never like to do those things anyway. Touching those controllers, people touching it. I would chairs that are probably on those things.
Which is funny to think about now, because I mean, back in the day when arcades were the big thing, not just a hipster thing.
I know you play arcade without even thinking about that.
Yeah, zero problem.
Nope.
Like going in and I'm gonna play Marvel vs. Capcom for 3 hours. So
now, if I were to do it, it'd be a whole ordeal. I'd have my Lysol wipes and my Lysol spray. I'd spray down the joystick in the cabinet. After I put it in the corners, I'd have to use some hand sanitizer because I'm touching some money. It'd be a whole ordeal.
Especially with arcades that didn't use quarters but used their own currency.
Yeah, I never played too
So,
much of those, but
yeah,
it's so much simpler when you just drop in a quarter.
yeah, that's true. Anyway, yeah, that's our. I don't know how we even got on that, but
Just good old GameStop conversations.
yeah, GameStop is endlessly fascinating to me. I still can't believe that they're still around
For now.
for now, but yeah, I still can't believe that. But anyway, let's get into our Dark Knight Rises minute by minute commentary. We're going from minute 150 to 150. Excuse me. We're going from minute 150 to minute 151, or don't fail me now.
Don't tell me your Dark Knight Rises
I
bio got started all the way back from the
Oh,
beginning.
excuse me. I mean, I found it, Tim.
Okay.
We're going from the 2 hour and 30-minute mark to the 2 hour and 31st minute mark. So as always, grab your kind of like arcades or GameStops. Grab your or Microsoft stores pretty soon. Grab your DVD. Grab your HD DVD. Grab your Blu-ray. Grab your Laserdisc, your beta tape. Grab your Blockbuster physical subscription card. Grab your Netflix physical media subscription. Grab your VHS to DVD converted copy, and our new favorite, Tim. Grab your DVHS copy and your DVHS player. You can't play it on your regular VCR.
No, but just when you thought formats couldn't get any higher quality than your VHS to DVD converted copy, here comes DVHS.
Yeah, DVHS.
I mean, what a time to be alive, right?
I know. Home theater has really taken off after we've learned about VHS to DVD and DVHS. So, just grab your any of those media formats specifically, and just cue it to the 2 hour and 30-minute mark. And I'm going to count down. So, Tim, are you ready?
I am ready to go.
All right, 3, 2, 1, play.
I'd like to think Batman has a DVHS player in the Batcave.
Or at least a VHS to DVD converted copy.
Somebody, you never know. He might stumble across an old VHS that is the biggest clue he needs to solve a case, but he doesn't have a VHS player in the Batcave, but he has a converter to be able to transfer to a DVD. Get into Batman's big death scene right here, right? I mean, I was buying into it at the theater watching this. I was like, oh, no one's going to do it right here. We're going to see the death of Batman actually in a movie.
And I was fine with it. I don't know if you were, but I was kind of fine with it.
Yeah.
Like if you were to go out like that.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking, oh, no, they're going to kill Batman off. I was like, oh, this isn't good. I was like, no, they're doing it. And I think it fits for what the story he was setting up from the beginning and up till now.
Yeah.
But we're not going to find out on this episode, sadly.
Oh, no. I don't know if he's going to survive, Tim.
You're going to have to wait another long 2 weeks in order to find out.
Why don't you tell everybody about our future topic for this episode, too?
Yeah, we've got some pretty big Batman news. I'd say probably biggest we've gotten in a long time. And it's not official yet, but it's looking more and more likely. And that is the news that Michael Keaton is in talks to reprise his role as Bruce Wayne / Batman. Yeah, not just Bruce Wayne, but as Batman. And I couldn't believe it when I saw this. I believe it was on Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. And it first came from The Wrap, but then it was being reported on several of the main big Hollywood trade sites like Hollywood Reporter and Variety, confirming that Michael Keaton is indeed in negotiations with Warner Brothers right now to come back as Batman. But it's a lot more interesting than just that, because it's not a Batman movie, but it's being reported he's going to be coming back for the Flash movie, which again is being talked about being based off Flashpoint, and it keeps going back and forth. Where I remember hearing, I mean, there's so much stuff to go on with the Flash movie. It's kind of lose track of everything in its production history. It was going to be based off Flashpoint, then it wasn't. Then got Ezra Miller and Grant Morrison working on a script that Warner Brothers didn't like, and then all the directors coming in, and now it's back as Flashpoint. So we'll see what the end product is. But as of right now, it's looking like to be Flashpoint, but a different version of Flashpoint that we're used to, with Michael Keaton being the Batman in this Flash movie, which is going to be somewhat related to Flashpoint. But obviously it's going to be different, since the reports are saying he's not going to be playing Thomas Wayne as Batman, which is what Batman was in that story, but he will be playing an older Bruce Wayne in the universe of the Tim Burton films. It's being reported that it's going to take place, obviously, 30 some odd years after that. And I think they're saying it's going to ignore Batman Forever and Robin in the continuity, which I guess makes sense if you just want to focus on the Michael Keaton films. So that's the preliminary reports going on right now as far as Keaton's return. And they're saying also that it's not going to just be for this movie. They have a plan here where they want him to be in other DC film projects, and to kind of, I believe the Hollywood Reporter is comparing it to him being like the Nick Fury of the DC universe and kind of be more of a mentor to some new characters, and even mentioned as Batgirl being one of the movie projects that could be something where Bruce will be involved in, which would make sense. So a lot of interesting factors to go over with this news. So a lot of stuff that I'm not sure on, but at the same time, I am just excited about the possibility of Michael Keaton coming back as Batman. That's something I never thought would actually happen, because you've seen the fan theories, or not fan theories, but kind of fan wish list, is what they would like to see: a Dark Knight Returns live action film starring Michael Keaton, or a Batman Beyond movie with Michael Keaton as an older Bruce Wayne, which is actually would have been the one at the top of my list of some I would like to see. So it was just fun to read those fan wish lists and kind of think about the possibilities of how cool those would be. But the idea now that it looks like he is actually going to be coming back as Batman in some capacity, I mean, how can you just not be excited about that? Just to see the potential of what that could be, and seeing him again as an older Batman. To me, that just is exciting in itself. And we'll just have to wait and see how these projects come along and how good they'll make use of him coming back as Batman. But just the idea in general of Michael Keaton coming back as Batman has me really, really excited. So when I first heard this news, it was a feeling of shock, like, I can't believe he's coming back, and then excitement, man, I can't wait to see him back as Batman again. But then also kind of wondering just how this is all going to work and play out, because it has the potential to something that could be pretty cool, but also a potential to be something that I want to say a failure, because obviously you got to wait and see it. But there's always potential for some to, when you're doing big universe crossing time travel. And I think this Flashpoint movie is going to be sort of more of a resetting and a reboot to create a new DC movie universe timeline. And those can sometimes be messy. So he's got to be careful. So a little trepidation in that regard. But as far as Michael Keaton coming back, I'm on board. Sign me up. I cannot wait to see that. So that was my initial reaction when I heard that. So how about you, Dane, when you first heard this news about Michael Keaton?
My first reaction was, if this Flashpoint movie comes out, this Flash movie gets done. Like you said, all of the different directors, I don't know, writers, I guess. And now Ezra Miller has to go and write it with a bunch of other writers, right? But I do like what they say at the end of the article. I don't know if you got that far, Tim, but that Matt Reeves, the Batman, is considered a separate thing. So let's say they do make this somehow. It seems like, well, you know, I don't know what to think about it, because for a long time there, I was under the impression this is never going to happen.
I don't blame you.
This is like that DC timeline that they released.
Yeah.
In 2017.
Yeah, I think they released that timeline in 2014. Yeah, 2014.
Okay.
I think the Flash movie was supposed to come out in 2017, if I remember right.
Okay, so 6 years ago. Yeah, so I I guess it's happening because they're saying that Michael Keaton is going to come back or whatever. But for right now, I it'll be cool to see Michael Keaton in a Batman movie. He's a good actor, but if there's a big if in my mind, if this gets done, um, and if it doesn't, then we still have the Batman, right?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's where I stand. I still don't think this movie is happening. Where's the Green Lantern movie? Right.
Supposed to be out this year, according to that 2014 release list.
Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's like, uh, okay, it's happening. Okay, it's not happening. Yeah, it's not happening. In my mind, it's not happening.
You see, I would think they would want to get Keaton back no matter what. And if this Flash movie doesn't work out, to kind of figure out something else to do with Keaton, because he's obviously going to be the big draw for this movie. As much as I just want to see a standard Flash movie, I mean, that would be great. But if Michael Keaton is back as Batman and they're doing Flashpoint, that's going to be the big selling point to just even for a general audience. The original first actor to play Batman in a live action movie. Well, I guess if you go back to the serials in the 40s, I can't really say that. But for a main high budgeted movie, Batman movie back in '89, the first one to kick off that Batman series, having him back in the role again, that's going to be a huge selling point for audiences. And I think you can do that for multiple different stories if this Flash movie doesn't work out. So, and like you said, it's the best of both worlds for those who are excited about Matt Reeves' movie like we are, and knowing already how that's going to be separate from everything else in the DC EU. We knew that already. And I like the idea that Warner Brothers and DC are finally realizing they can use the same characters in different projects without confusing audiences. That's because comic fans were used to that for so long, and I think it's not a hard grasp or idea to grasp for a general audience either. They can figure it out pretty easily, I would think, that these are two separate things. So I'm just glad they're not holding on to that idea that you can't have two different Batmans on screen at the same time. So, but
yeah. Well, I guess what I'm excited about, I guess you could say, is that DC / Warner Brothers is has learned, you can't just inorganically grow a franchise like the Avengers did, like Marvel did, like Disney did. You have to have certain pieces in place before
you have to build.
You have to build to a certain point, right? You have to build to the Avengers, that first Avengers movie. You can't just, okay, here's Batman versus Superman, and here's Wonder Woman. Okay, so we got the big three there, so our next movie is going to be Justice League, right? You can't just do that. You have to have certain pieces in place before that. And with Flashpoint and with Flash being able to travel back in time, back and forth in time, it's a step in the right direction, meaning that they have something to play with, rather than so Batman versus Superman, and then Justice League, so.
Yeah, they could definitely, Flashpoint is a starting off point. Obviously, it's been done in the comics that jump-started the New 52, and even in the DC animated movie line, the Flashpoint animated movie kicked off the kind of the quote-unquote New 52 animated movie universe in that line of movies, which end up, I think, working out really well. So if it can do the same for the live-action movie front, that would be great as well. So it is something where you could start your foundation on. And I just think they're really going to try to make it where it's going to reset the universe in some way, but at the same time, you're going to keep the franchises that have worked the same, like Wonder Woman and Aquaman. Obviously, Gal Gadot and Jason Momoa aren't going anywhere. They got sequels coming. So that aspect of the corner of the DC universe is still going to be there. Certain aspects of Superman, if those reports about Henry Cavill showing up in some other DC Universe movies. So it's going to be something kind of like the New 52 reboot, where they kept certain elements from the hero's past, but we worked it into a new timeline. I think that's what's going to happen here, and probably what their goal is with that. So hopefully it works out, because it has the potential to be really cool. But just looking specifically at Michael Keaton as Batman and kind of what you want to hope to see from this, because they could easily just have him be back as Bruce Wayne, but I'm excited that the reports are saying he's going to be in Batman. He's going to be in the suit. And we'll see. I'm sure he'll get a new suit upgrade, but I'm really hoping it is something that's pretty similar to the costumes he wore in 89 and Batman Returns. But my biggest wish list, you got to have that Batmobile back. Oh, man. To see that on screen again would be amazing. I don't even want to see any upgrades or changes to it. Just bring back that classic Batmobile. It's kind of hard to think that 30 years later there wouldn't be any changes or upgrades. Maybe he will have a different Batmobile, but you'll see the classic 89 one in the Batcave or something. It just got to show up there. It just has to. It's as
and Tim, don't forget the soundtrack. I'd like a nice callback.
They should do something like that in. Yeah. Or in the Bat Dance or Trust, one of those classic Prince songs from the movie. That would be great. But you know what? The potential, I think, to see Michael Keaton as an older Batman, I'm excited for it, because I think it could be a better portrayal than what he gave in those original movies. I don't know, because now, have you seen Birdman, Dane?
Yeah, I have.
See, I haven't. And it just makes me think, when I was when I heard this news, is it going to be something where, because the premise of that movie, he's kind of a older, like washed up actor who's only remembered for that role type of scenario. But does he actually play himself as an older actor as Birdman at any point in there?
Yeah, at the end.
Okay.
Yeah. He has. If I'm remembering correctly, it's at the end, and he's totally lost his mind.
So he's more of a crazy.
Hallucinating himself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because just for his acting chops, because I'm going to use Spider-Man Homecoming as an example. I really like what he did as Adrian Toomes and Vulture. Obviously, he's playing a villain there, but just the way as an actor that he's playing now, as an older actor, I think can make for a really cool Batman. For him playing an older Batman, I think could potentially be something really, really cool to see. And that's one of the things I'm curious about. Just what type of Batman is he going to be here? Because is it going to be the disgruntled, more brooding Batman in the future? I mean, he was pretty brooding in those first two movies, but is it going to be even more so? Is it going to be more of a darker, aggressive Batman? I was going to say a Batman who kills, but obviously it's been established he's a Batman who kills already in those first two movies, so that won't be a new extreme for him. But I'm kind of hoping that seems like too easy of a path to go with. I'm hoping it's something a little more different. I don't want to say where it's a Batman who's mellowed out more or something, but just someone who still has that drive more so than ever. It's not that he's gone any darker, but the world has changed, so maybe his methods have changed a little bit. But it's still that same core version of Batman that we saw in those first two movies, and not something radically different. Because if Ezra Miller's Flash is going to meeting up with this Batman, he's already going to know this Batman is totally different from Ben Affleck's version of Batman. So that version of Batman was pretty dark, and obviously a pretty dark version of Batman who would do things that we're used to seeing Batman do in certain instances. So to kind of have the opposite of that with Michael Keaton's Batman, I think would be interesting to see in Ezra Miller's Flash react to that. And again, I don't want to make it sound it's going to be Adam West to Ben Affleck type of comparison, but somewhere in that middle where it is a different version of Batman that Ezra Miller's Flash is going to experience and know that it's different from the Batman he's used to with Ben Affleck's version. So I just hope they just don't go that typical, it's a darker version of Batman that's going to be something you've never seen before, but yet we have seen before already. Let's just build on what was already established with what Michael Keaton did with the character in 1989 and just seeing what he's up to 30 years later. That's what I'm hoping for anyway.
Are you sure you're ready for change, Tim? Because if I remember correctly, uh, Luke Skywalker in this movie. I don't know if you heard about it, Tim, but it's called The Last Jedi. Remember how that character changed?
Doesn't ring a bell. Yeah, I can't sure. Luke, you said his name was? I'm not too familiar, so refresh my memory.
Luke. Luke.
Because nobody ever talked about it, so I'm not sure. That's why I'd never heard or missed it, so I don't know.
I don't know. I just hope that he has fun with it.
Yeah.
Because
that's. I'm sorry, Dave. I'm sorry to interrupt, but you just brought up a good point with The Last Jedi with Luke. We've seen that already with a lot of these characters, stuff that where you're not used to seeing him, and sometimes it works. It gives them a good character arc. And again, I'll defend Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi forever. So it's not that I'm against it, but we've seen stuff like that before, for characters you're familiar with in old movies being not how you expected them to be. So let's do the opposite and just see more of that character we saw those first two movies. Just obviously things are going to be different 30 years later, but let's just continue on what was built already.
Yeah. And like I was saying, I just hope he has fun with it. Not, I mean, just let him go and be the Batman he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Michael Keaton's a good actor.
Yeah. And, that's why I think he can do some more great stuff with us that we didn't get to see in the first two movies was him as Batman. I think he's even better now than when he made those movies. Yeah.
But anyway,
I didn't know if you're going to add more there, but
no.
So yeah, so
is that it for a future topic?
I don't know, because there's obviously big news to digest, but at the same time, we're still kind of waiting for more on it. And more, first of all, for it to become official, but there's just a lot to ponder on and what this means just for the future of the DC movie universe. What we talked about of how he's going to be in more, and how I think this is probably going to be a soft reboot for the whole universe, which probably it needs going forward, just to kind of have this new identity for what these movies are going to be now that we're moving past the Zack Snyder era. Once we get to see the final version of his story with Zack Snyder's Justice League cut coming to HBO Max. And this will be, that will kind of be the last chapter on that. And I think Flashpoint will be the new chapter of what they're going to establish with their movies going forward. So it's going to be interesting. I'm excited. So again, how can you just not be excited at the fact of Michael Keaton returning as Batman, regardless of what the project is? It's just going to be a lot of fun to see this whole project unfold, see our first look at him in the bat suit again, or just even him as Bruce Wayne again. It's going to be lots of fun. So just in the whole build up and lead up to getting to see this movie and the return of Michael Keaton as Batman is going to be a whole lot of fun. And I'm just really, really looking forward to it.
You know what, Tim? We were talking about Last Jedi, and Luke Skywalker changing, and all sorts of stuff. And I think this is the perfect opportunity to talk about The Last of Us 2.
Yeah, I know that was on our docket to talk about at the end of the show. But if you want to talk about it now, let's go in.
Yeah. Okay, so spoiler free. I've beaten the game, and
you beat it pretty quickly too. I know you wanted to, but when you sent me the text saying you beat it, I was like, man, that was pretty quick. It's just like in a weekend.
Yeah, the story is really good. It's extremely divisive.
That's the main thing I really wanted to hear your thoughts on, because I saw a lot of mixed reactions towards it. After seeing a lot of positive reviews. It's like getting tens and tens, but then seeing some of the online reaction, which I guess shouldn't be much of a shock anymore, but seeing how it's like one of the worst games ever from some people's reactions. So I was like, I wonder if those are stuff you just got to not pay attention to, because almost every big title has those detractors now, I think, just to cause controversy or make themselves heard. So I don't know if we should put much stock into that. That's why I'm curious to see if some of those criticisms are valid or if it's just people complaining for the sake of complaining. So I'm really curious to hear your take.
Yeah, and do you mind if I spoil it for you, Tim? Or are you going to play it?
You can go ahead, because I've been saying I want to play the first one for a while now. I still haven't gotten around to that. So
okay.
And just seeing things in the second one has me obviously spoiled on things from the first one. So
yeah.
Go ahead.
So yeah, it's extremely divisive, and I can see why. I
Okay.
um, let's see, where should I start? Um, Spoiler free, it's a really great game. If you played the first one, you should play the second one. Uh, Especially the improvements they made to the gameplay. You can dodge, you can go under cars, you can go prone now, um, and j- they sort of improved on that sort of that panic based uh, gameplay where it's not, you have a million bullets and you know you just go around and you shoot people and you're invincible, right?
Mhm.
It's more of like there were certain points in the game where I was sneaking around, I got caught, and I just sprinted through the entire level, just sprinted straight past people that were trying to kill me. It's just that sort of they really perfected that panic based, I guess, survival horror sort of thing.
Okay.
Uh, but I guess we can get into the spoiler part. So if you have not played The Last of Us or The Last of Us Part Two, skip ahead because you don't want to be spoiled on it. Um, so the plot of the first game, it's pretty basic. It's you are a guy named Joel. You lost your daughter, and the game flashes forward 20 years, and you have to get another girl named Ellie from Boston to Salt Lake because it turns out she is immune, right? And so you do that, um, and you get her to these people called the Fireflies, and the Fireflies are trying to save the world. They're trying to um, make a vaccine for people so that this cordyceps virus, um, which turns you into zombie, a disgusting zombie, um, you'd be vaccinated against it. And they want to save the world. That's their thing. They want to save the world. That's why they're called Fireflies, I think. Um, but so you get Ellie to the hospital, and you're told that the operation to make the vaccine or an attempt to make a vaccine will kill Ellie. And over the course of the game, you start to think of her as your own daughter, right? And the two characters start getting closer and closer and closer, and it becomes a father-daughter thing. So, um, as Joel, you're told that this operation, whatever you want to call it, um, will kill her. So you go through the hospital and you kill everybody that you see, and you get to the operating table and you kill the doctors, and then you take Ellie, and then you break out, and then you go to live with your uh, your brother in Wyoming. But the key thing here is Ellie asks Joel at the end of the game, you know, because he previously told she asked like what happened, and Joel lies to her and says, um, the whole virus thing was, I mean, the whole vaccine thing didn't work out, and they've stopped looking for a cure. So he lies to her at the end.
Mm.
So in 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 essence, you are the bad guy of the story of The Last of Us 2. I mean, the Last of Us 1. At the end of the game, you realize you're playing the bad guy. But are you playing the bad guy? Because what would you do in that
Yeah, it's
situation?
one of those moral
Right.
ambiguity type
Right.
scenarios, right?
Right. So that brings me on to The Last of Us 2. And like I said, it's a really divisive game. And I can see why. There is a lot of that sort of different perspective sort of thing. And I've seen the negative reviews, and I've seen um, what people are saying, and um, especially with the reviews, like the Kotaku review, and I think Forbes did a review, and they were complaining that um, the characters don't grow. They don't learn their lesson, and the lesson of the game is that violence is bad, right? And it is bad, and it is an extremely brutal game, and I can't stress that enough. It is extremely, extremely brutal. Just people's faces when you stab them, and people screaming after you blow off their legs and their arms. When you hit them with an axe through their neck.
Like you really feel it, huh?
You really feel it. They really make you feel it. But I think people that say that, that this game is about violence, that violence is bad, that's the main theme of this story, sort of miss the point. And I think that's just the surface level. And I think this game is about a lot of things. It's about, and Naughty Dog has said, when they first announced this game, that this game is about hate, and it's about revenge. And I think that they really achieved that. This game is about hate, and it is about revenge. And it's not so much about the emotion; it's about how the emotion changes you, or does not change you. And I think that's where most people come in, and they think that the characters don't change, because Ellie. Okay, so here's the big spoiler of the game. It's in the first hour and a half. Joel dies. He dies brutally.
Oh wow! So they didn't even say that for the end of the game, huh?
Yeah.
See,
Yeah.
I was always under the impression he died in the first game. And I was kind of surprised when I saw in the trailers for the sequel. Like, oh, I guess he didn't die. But
Yeah, he doesn't die in the first game. He dies in like the first hour of the second game. So what happened was, there's this girl named Abby, played, and she's, sorry, I jumped ahead a little bit, and her father was the doctor that you killed in the first game.
okay.
I was going to do the operation on Ellie. And so she wants to get revenge. So her and a bunch of her friends are trying to find Joel. So they spend like 4 or 5 years trying to track him down, and they finally do in Wyoming. And they sort of corner him, and they surprise attack him. Or maybe I should go back again. Joel saves Abby, and Abby brings Joel and his brother Tommy back to where they're staying, which is like an old skiing lodge. And Joel is nice, he sort of has his guard down, and he says, "Oh, thanks for saving us. If you guys want to restock, you can restock." And they go into this room, and they're surprised attacked. Joel's leg is blown off, and Ellie goes and saves him. And you see, this is the thing, because it's so brutal, and it kind of scars your mind,
Man.
in a sense, because when you do rescue him, he's being beaten to death with a golf club. And Abby's friends hold him down, and she beats him with a golf club and kills Joel in front of her. It's really bad. But anyway, yeah. So it's, like I said, it's a really brutal game, and it's about revenge. It's about hate and revenge, because I mean, in that moment, there's a huge character switch, character mentality switch with Ellie. You know,
Yeah, sure.
she's screaming, and she's saying, I'm gonna kill you. And she's like, please don't. Before she's like, please don't. I'll do anything, please don't kill him. And then Abby, hits Joel one last time, and it's extremely brutal. You can see blood shooting out of his head. Yeah. So, and then after that, she's like, "I'm gonna kill you." She's screaming, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna find you, and I'm gonna kill you." And that's where the story begins, essentially. So it's like, oh my god, you know.
So in the beginning of this game, are you playing as Joel?
No, you're playing as Ellie,
Okay.
and you're playing as Abby.
Was she playable in the first game?
Ellie, yeah,
Yeah.
for a certain part.
Okay.
Because Joel gets hurt. He falls from a ledge, and he gets impaled by a piece of rebar.
Okay.
So you're playing as Ellie, trying to take care of Joel.
Gotcha. Okay. So this wasn't like the first.
Go ahead.
No, so the second game wasn't like the first time you're playing as her. That's what I thought. Yeah. Kind of going into it, maybe that's what one of the big new things was about the second one, was you're playing as Ellie over Joel in this one. But I guess that's not the case.
You play as Ellie in the first game. You come across cannibals played by the guy that voiced Nathan Drake.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, doing some weird voice. Nolan North, I think is his name.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. So yeah, that's where the game begins. Ellie is not in a good place. She wants revenge, and so you go to Washington, or you track down these. You find out that Abby is part of this this group called the WLF, which is a group that sort of has taken over Washington State. And so and thankfully, I got to thank Naughty Dog for not having us go from Wyoming to Washington State, not having that whole journey. You just sort of, the next cutscene, you're there already. You're essentially on the outskirts of, fast travel. You're on the outskirts of Washington, and you're with, I don't know if you saw, I think it was the Paris Games Week trailer.
No.
One with the kiss.
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
Where Ellie kisses the girl.
Was it that? Was it like one of the ones they showed at E3? Like was it the first trailer they showed at E3? Remember that E3 where they were having like they brought the crowd into like these different room settings? In one of them.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Was it like this tent where like there was a dance going on or something? That's the one I remember.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that one. Yeah. So, you've seen that?
That's the only. I just remember that sequence. I don't remember the whole trailer though.
Yeah. Yeah. So that girl Ellie kisses is Dina, and she's kind of in love with Ellie, and she's your companion throughout that. And so, essentially, what happens is you find the WLF and you start killing off Abby's friends. And Tommy is there kind of ahead of you. Joel's brother is kind of there ahead of you, and you're trying to catch up with him, and you're trying to, get revenge on Abby's friends who were there when Joel died. And so you do that, and then you finally track down Abby, or you track down this guy named Owen, and Owen is living at this aquarium, right? And his girlfriend is there, and you sneak into the aquarium, and he's kind of like the last guy besides Abby to that you have to track down and you have to kill. So you sneak into the Seattle Aquarium or whatever it's called, and you kill him, and then you kill his dog, or there's a attack dog. That's not good. And then you kill his wife or his girlfriend. And then what you don't realize is his girlfriend is pregnant. And so, yeah. And so you have to come to terms with that. And it clearly shakes Ellie. And she goes back and she's shaking, and, you know, she's you know, kind of scared of what she's become, right? And so, you know, you kind of go to sleep, and then you wake up, and then Tommy's there, and then, you know, you're talking with Tommy, and then and then Abby shows up, and what I did not expect was, so that's the first half of the game. The second half of the game, you're playing as Abby.
Oh, that's really?
So yeah, so it's Seattle
Did
Day.
Did it pull a Metal Gear Solid 2 switch on you?
Exactly. And going from what I've read and what I've heard, that game was a huge influence on this game.
Okay.
That you play as Snake, and then you play as Raiden or whatever you call him. So it's Seattle Day 1, Seattle Day 2, Seattle Day 3. You're playing as Ellie. And then with Abby, you're playing the same exact story from her perspective.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Is that what's causing a lot of the divisiveness around it?
No, but I'll get to that.
Okay.
And so Abby's story is Joel kills her father, right? And then she after Joel kills her father, she goes into the room and she sees her father lying there dead. Essentially, I think the canonical way you kill Abby's dad is you stab him to death, but you can't shoot him in the first game. But she sees him, killed or dead on the ground, and then, it flashes to the current day. The current day is, she gets revenge on Joel. She comes back, and then Tommy attacks, and then Ellie shows up, and then she's trying to find Owen, because maybe because there's a rumor that Owen killed a WLF member to save somebody from another group, which is called the Seraphites, who are religious zealots. They live on this island with this giant sort of they praise this giant tower thing, and I'm sure you can tell which. I'm sure you know what tall tower that is. But anyway, so Owen kills a WLF member to save these people this person from this group called the Seraphites, and you have to go and find him. So you find him at the aquarium. But on the way, you come across these two Seraphites, and I can't remember their names for the life of me. Lev and I can't remember the other person's name, because you'll find out why pretty soon. You come across them, and you rescue them, and you make it to Owen, and then you have to find. So you have to go back and you have to find medicine for one of these Seraphite girls, or one of them's a girl, one of them identifies as male, is trans. And I know that was a lot of the criticism, a lot of the review bombing for on Metacritic, and I just gotta say, if that's your problem with the game, you gotta let that go. I'm sorry, you just have to let that go. I mean, it's you just have to let that go. But anyway, yeah, you have to find medicine. So you find the medicine, You come back, and then one of the the male Seraphite. Sorry, I cannot remember their two names, and they're big characters. And maybe I should just look them up because it's they do play a really big role in the game, especially the ending. So okay, so yeah, Lev and Yara. So Yara is the female, and Lev is the one that identifies as male. So Yara had her arm broken. If you've seen the one of the trailers, she gets her arm broken. A guy holds her down and breaks her arm with a hammer. That's who Yara is. So you have to go get her medicine because she has to get her arm amputated. So you do come back, and Lev is gone to go rescue their mother. But they're on the Seraphite Island. But you find out that the mother is super into being a Seraphite. So you have to go rescue Lev, and then you get to the island, and Abby is killed, and I mean Yara is killed. Sorry, and then the WLF attack the Seraphites. The two groups are constantly fighting, and the WLF finally move on the Seraphite Island, and so this is one of those places, like I was saying before, where sometimes you just have to sprint through an entire level. This is one of them, because because the WLF are fighting the Seraphites, and it's just if you're looking for a guide, just run through the entire fight. That's my. I mean, I tried sneaking. I tried taking out guys. Just sneak. I mean, just run through the entire area. That's what I did. But anyway, yeah. So you rescue Lev. Yara is killed on the island, and you go back to the aquarium, and this is where the two stories meet up, Ellie's and Abby's, because you meet up, and shortly before, Ellie killed Owen and killed Owen's wife, his girlfriend, and so that's where the two stories collide. And so, to kind of make a long story short, Ellie sort of can't get over, Abby killing Joel, and Abby can't get over Ellie killing Owen, because Owen, I don't know what they were, but they had feelings for each other, Owen and Abby. And there is a sex scene in it, and I know people that was a big point of contention for people for some dumb reason.
Didn't we already go through that with Mass Effect? The first one was 13 years ago.
I know it's whatever. It's a good part of the story to show how close they were, and they're really, hammering that home. And so what happens is, long story short, because I kind of want to get to the end of it, is Ellie can't let it go. And so what she does is they sort of, Abby attacks Ellie, Ellie attacks Abby, and essentially they come to a stalemate, and it's more of a, I hope I never see you again sort of thing. And so Abby and Lev go on their way to Santa Barbara, I think. Yeah, Santa Barbara, California. And Abby goes back with Dina. Oh yeah, that's another thing. Dina was pregnant. She has the kid, and they're living happily in a farmhouse in Wyoming. And Ellie just can't let it go. She can't get over the fact that Abby killed Joel. She just can't let it go. And then Tommy shows up, And he says that he found out where Abby and Lev are, and they're in Santa Barbara. And so, you see, this is where a lot of people have trouble, because
Okay.
this is the point of the game. It's you. And I was feeling the exact same way. This game is going on way too long. It's
Really?
yeah. Before this, you're playing as Ellie, and she's happy on this farm in Wyoming with Dina and the baby. They're sort of together, and they're a nice, happy little family. And then you're doing farm work, and then you're talking with Dina, and then you're playing with the baby.
So is it almost kind
And
of
it's
like the Red Dead ending, like
sort
final part?
of.
Okay.
It's like that ending after the ending after the
Yeah.
ending. So because you think it's the ending when Abby and Ellie sort of go their separate ways, and they come to the stalemate, and live and let live, right? But then there's this farmhouse thing, and I was like, oh my god, like this is going on way too long. But then Ellie cannot get over Abby killing Joel, which is like what I was saying. And Tommy shows up, and he, points on the map where Abby is. She's in Santa Barbara. And then you're in the next scene. You're in Santa Barbara, trying to find Abby, where Abby and Lev are. So Abby and Lev, they're trying to look for. They heard rumors that there's fireflies. There's a stronghold of fireflies, so they're trying to find them. They go to this house, and they are attacked by this other group of people, this biker gang, this California biker gang, that I guess rules Santa Barbara for whatever reason. So you're kidnapped. Abby and Lev are kidnapped by this biker gang, and they're held prisoner. And Ellie is trying to find them so that she can kill Abby. So, and this is part of the game where I was like, "Oh my god, this is going on way too long." This game is an emotional roller coaster. It's so depressing, and I don't know if this was a design choice, but throughout most of the game, it's really bleak. You're in the Pacific Northwest. It's raining. There's a lot of fog. There's overgrown vegetation. It's the sea has reclaimed part of Seattle, right? And it's wet, and it's foggy, and it's gross, but it's like at the end of this game, it's extremely depressing. But then you're in Santa Barbara, and it's bright, and it's sunny, and it's like where this biker gang is headquartered is in like a country club, and it's all bright, and it's sunny, and there's a pool, and it's like it's the total switch. It's like a total switch. But so you sneak into the biker gang place, and then you find where Abby and Lev are being held. And what happened was they tried to escape, and they're essentially being crucified. I'm sorry, all you religious people, but they're essentially being crucified down by the beach. And you cut them down, and then now here's the ending. And here's where people had trouble. People had problems with. Ellie cannot let it go. Abby has been out in the sun. She's emaciated. She is on the verge of death. Lev is on the edge of death, and Ellie cuts him down, and then there's two separate boats. You're by the ocean. There's two separate boats. Abby and Lev get into one, and then Ellie gets into the other one, and she's gonna leave, but then she has a quick flash about seeing Joel's face, just bludgeoned to death, right? And she says, I can't let you go. Hey, I can't let you go. And then she holds the knife up to Lev's throat, saying, like, no, I'm going to make you fight me to the death. And so they do. They fight. And Ellie gets the upper hand, and she's drowning Abby. And then she has a flash of Joel playing the guitar. That's another thing, too. I love the scenes where you're doing nothing, but you're just playing the guitar. Like, they force you to play the guitar.
Okay. Yeah, I've seen little clips of those.
And they use the touch screen, the touchpad, which is really cool. You're strumming along with the touchpad.
That's pretty creative.
Yeah, there's a great cover of "Take on Me"
Oh, yeah.
that Ellie sings, and another thing I forgot to mention is kind of random, but the song "Future Days" by Pearl Jam. I don't know if you ever heard that song, but that plays a huge role in the game. You're gonna find out why. So,
okay.
Ellie gets the upper hand on Abby. Abby bites off Ellie's fingers, like two of her fingers. Good thing I read recently that you only need 3 fingers, which is if you ever lose your 2 fingers, all you need is 3 fingers in life. But yeah, so Ellie is drowning Abby, and then she has a flash of Joel playing the guitar, and you're kind of wondering, like, what is this flashback? I've never seen this flashback before. But she lets him go. Ellie lets Abby go, and they both go off in their separate boats. And Ellie goes back to the house that she was living in with Dina, and she can't, or Dina has left. She's sort of given up hope on the relationship at that point. She moves back with Tommy in the compound, and Ellie is sitting there alone, and she tries to play the beginning chords because Joel taught you how to play "Future Days" by Pearl Jam on the guitar, and she's trying to play. You play it throughout the game. That's one of the songs that you keep on playing throughout the game, and she tries to play it, she can't, because she doesn't have the other 2 fingers, so she can't form the chords anymore. And then you flash back, and so what had happened was, when they kissed, Tim.
Okay.
So that was the beginning of the game, right? So that was the night before the game. So they go to the dance, they kiss, and the bartender doesn't like, is homophobic, I guess, and so he doesn't like that. He calls Ellie and Dina a name which you can't say, which is bad. And then Joe cuts in and he gets all mad and whatever. But then, so this cutscene at the end takes place after that happened, but the night before Joel dies. So the beginning of the game. And what you learn throughout the game is that Ellie had found out that Joel lied to her. That he said that they're not looking for the cure anymore. But what she finds out is, Joel killed the doctor and killed the fireflies and rescued her, quote unquote, rescued her. And she's mad at him. She was mad at him for a long time, that she lied because her life didn't have any meaning. because she was ready to die for the cause of saving humanity, which is a noble cause, right? Or at least the chance to save humanity, and that Joel took that from her. She's mad, so she was mad at him for a long time, and then this flashback, sort of it Ellie says that she doesn't know if she can ever forgive Joel, but that she'll try. And so that is where they sort of leave things. That's the ending. And Ellie heads off, from the farmhouse and off to the wilderness, I guess, or wherever she's going. And that's the ending that people have had problems with. And I know, I guess I kind of know why, because Ellie doesn't kill Abby, and that was the whole point of the game. And I think people are putting too much on that point. I know, Naughty Dog, when they were creating this game, and I know what they were trying to say throughout this entire game, that this game is about revenge, this game is about hate, and going back to what I was saying about the game feeling long, that was the point, to show, and I kind of didn't realize this until I was watching the credits. The point of the game, I guess that point was to show that this has gone on long enough, and to be exhausting, and to be like, just let it go, Ellie.
How long can you keep doing this, chasing this vendetta type thing?
Yeah, you can't keep doing this. Like, you have to stop. You're happy already. And I think that was the point. And that's why it felt long. But I think what people had a problem was that Ellie doesn't kill Abby at the end. And I think, going back to people's other complaint that people don't grow, like the characters don't grow, and they don't learn anything, and that they only know violence, and violence is bad, and that's what Naughty Dog is trying to teach us, even though we already know this.
Well, from what you're saying about the ending, it seems like that's not the case, where
exactly.
It showed she did grow and not kill her.
Yeah, she did grow, and she realized that she was wrong. And I think that's one of the major themes of the game.
What you're saying too, paid the price for that too.
Yeah, is realizing that you were wrong the whole time, that you sacrificed everything for nothing, essentially. That's kind of the point of the game, because Ellie loses Dina. She loses all the comforts of what she had called home. She lost Joel. She has nobody. Tommy breaks up with his wife, and they're doing their separate thing now, because he had gone after Abby and the WLF, and his wife didn't want him to. Abby sacrificed everything, sacrificed a relationship with Owen, so that she can build on her knowledge of tracking people down, and killing people. And she literally changes her body. That's why she's so ripped in the game. She has big muscles in the game. It's because she did nothing but have this vendetta against Joel, and so that's all she focused on. And she sort of put Owen and everybody else, all of her friends, second. And that's why Owen moved on and was with his girlfriend / wife at the beginning of the game. So that is the point that I think Naughty Dog was trying to say, is like, yeah, you can have this hate, you can have this sort of revenge attitude, but it'll cost you everything. It'll leave you broken. And that's where Abby is, and that's where Ellie is, and that's where Tommy is. At the end of this game, they're broken people that have nothing. because they wanted they could not get over their hate for their hate or the revenge or getting revenge on the people that had wronged them, or at least felt that they had wronged them. You know, it cost them everything. And you know, the thing about like people complaining about like the characters not changing or not having any character growth. And I was thinking about that for a long time. I was thinking about that, and I was like, what are they trying to say? Like, is it that at the end of the story, you know, people finally change? Or is it because Abby finally finds out or realizes that, or sort of midway through the game, she realizes that she had sacrificed everything for nothing? And, you know, she had sacrificed a good relationship with the Omen for nothing, you know? Is that because it wasn't enough character change or character growth? But then I was thinking about like real life, right? I mean, is this like a surrealist piece of video game media? You know, is this like real life? I mean, how much do people really change from their convictions beyond, you know, don't touch that stove, it's hot, right? But then again, how many times have you burned yourself on the stove because you forgot you left the burner on, you know? So, like, how much do we really, really change?
Yeah. And to me, that's not from what how you were describing the story. It's not so much how much the change, but it's the consequences that come because of not changing and that those feelings you have of hate and just wanting revenge. And it's just the consequences, the more, I think, meaningful aspect of that, and showing what happens when you don't change and just focus all on hatred and revenge.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's what the point of the game was, or at least for me, because I know people like the game and they have different opinions about it and different conclusions. Because a part of the reason why I sort of wanted to bring this up here is because it reminds me of The Last Jedi, how that movie was so divisive, and it doesn't really have an ending, at least not for the main characters, at least. It kind of leaves you hanging. Same thing with Empire. It kind of just leaves you hanging. And you come to your own conclusions about what happens next, what the characters are. You know, it just sort of leaves you like something's missing. And if you go into this game and you think everything is going to be explained to you from beginning to end, and you're the hero that's going to save the entire world and get the girl at the end, and you're going to live happily ever after. If you're looking for that kind of game, if you're looking for Return of the Jedi, you're not going to be satisfied. It's not what this game is about. It's not. It's an imperfect ending. It leaves you sort of sitting funny, you know. It's not going to answer every question. It's not going to explain every single piece of theory that they introduce, right? You're going to have to come to your own conclusion. Like the end, you know, where's Ellie going at the end? Is she going back to Dina? You know, is she going to live out in the wilderness? Is she going back to Wyoming, the Wyoming compound at all? Is she going to go with Tommy? I mean, where's she going? The game doesn't.
And obviously, they don't want this to be the last one, I would think.
Yeah, but it gives you enough. Yeah, but it gives you enough to be the last one. Same thing with The Last of Us.
So it could end up,
Yeah, so it could. And I see why a lot of people have problems with the themes and the character development and the ending. But I think that's the point. I mean, that's the point. People people don't grow, or at least people with this sort of mindset don't
Yeah,
grow
sometimes
that
there are no
much.
changing people.
Yeah, sometimes you can't change people. I mean, just look at what we're going through right now
Yeah.
with all of the protests and Black Lives Matter and all that. I mean, just look at that. People are trying to affect change to people
People are stuck
that
in their
don't
old
change.
ways. Yeah, they
Yeah,
won't
they're
accept it.
trying to change people that don't change, and rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's definitely worth it. Um,
Rightfully
but
so in the change. We should just
yeah,
that with that.
sorry, rightfully so in the change. Trying to affect change and in the change, um, and so I think that's the point of the game. Is people don't realize that they're wrong until the very end, until they
Until it's too late.
realize they've lost everything. And I think that's, or at least for me. Beyond that, I can't really say much else. I know people have trouble with the way Joel was killed. Why did he let his guard down? But you have to realize that for 4 or 5 years after that, they were living in relative comfort. They weren't living on the streets. They were living in a compound, a well-protected compound with electricity, with all the comforts that we have now. And over time, you let your guard down, I guess.
Yeah,
And
it
so, and
happens.
so that's why he was taken by surprise. So,
So what would you rate it then? would you say it lived up to your expectations? Surpassed
yeah,
them? Didn't live up to expectations? What would you say?
yeah, this is a 10 out of 5.
Wow. Okay. I'd say that
Yeah,
surpasses.
it exceeded my expectations, just from a story standpoint.
uh,
It's really complicated. It's a complicated game that goes through a lot of themes, a lot of contradictions. Um, and I was just doing a Cliff Notes version of what happened. Um, because there's the whole thing about gender identity and a bunch of other stuff that they get into. So yeah, I'm it to be honest, it left me speechless. Like, I didn't know what to think at the end of it. Like, as the end credits rolled, if you're listening to this and you plan on playing the game, there is no post credit sequence. I'll say that.
Good to know.
Yeah. It sort of it sticks with you. I'm still thinking about it. I
So
beat it
one of
on Monday.
those are always good to get. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it still sticks with me. I'm still thinking about it. My opinion won't change. I still love this game. I know a lot of people don't like the story, don't like the game. And I guess if you're unwilling to dig deep and think about it, then you're not going to really get it. Because I read the reviews after because I didn't want to be spoiled on
Sure.
anything. And it's kind of like these game reviewers didn't delve that deep into the concepts behind what they saw. Like the unchanging nature of people, or what is hate. Hate is just fear, this disguised, right? What is revenge? It's kind of like they didn't even look at these questions.
Almost like just to hurry up and beat it for the review so I can get it out in
Yeah,
time.
like, because the violence thing is just the surface level theme. This is an extremely violent game. I've told you about it, Tim.
It's like we kind of know that already going into
Yeah.
it.
Did you not see the trailers? The 3-4 trailers that they released? There's a woman that gets her arm broken while she's being held down and hit with a hammer. I mean, come on. This is a violent game. And I don't think I just don't know how I got what I got and they got what they got. You know what I mean?
Yep. No, that
Like,
does sound like The Last Jedi already.
yeah, it's doesn't make sense. And you know, I just I understand that I'll never understand. Is what I'll say about that. It's like you're paid to do this, and I'm not, and I got all of this sort of stuff from it, and you didn't, and you just got like this surface thing. Like what happened? You know what I mean?
Mm.
So,
Well,
yeah, this is. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, at least the most important thing is what you got out of it, how you loved it, and
Yeah,
got so much from what you were hoping to get out of it, while others didn't, which kind of sucks. You hope everyone has a great experience like you do, when there's something you really enjoy, but you enjoying it the most
yeah,
is what's really important.
yeah. I guess the final thing I'll say about The Last of Us 2 is you have to go into it thinking that you're not going to be happy. This game is a game that wasn't made. It is not fun to play. Tim. The gameplay elements are great. You know, the way that all of the mechanics are great. It's not fun to play at all. It's extremely depressing. It's emotion. It's like I said, an emotional roller coaster. You go from a high to a low, an extreme low, and then back to a high again. And you go back and forth and back and forth, and it's oh my god! And you get to that
Takes its
farmhouse
toll on
scene, and
you.
it's like oh my god! Why can't this just be over? I can't just end. And then you have an entire another level to get through. So just know going into it, it's not fun to play. You will not be happy. You will not feel like the conquering hero. And I think that's the main point that I want to drill into people's head. You're not Luke. You're not going to save the day. You're just not. And if you feel like you need that kind of story, don't play The Last of Us 2 because you're not going to get that. This isn't Call of Duty where you save the universe 50,000 times. Not that. It is not that. And I have to drill that into. I feel like I have to drill that into every person that I talk to about this game. You're not the conquering hero of stories past. You're not Aragorn, right? You're an incredibly flawed human being, which is to say, you're a human being.
Yeah.
If you're looking for that conquering hero story, do not play the game. If you're looking for the happy ending, do not play the game. And that's all I'll say about it. This is a 10 out of 5 for me. It blew me away. Everything was great about it.
I'm just glad to hear it.
Future topic.
I was real curious to hear what you were going to say about it, because I know it has been divisive. I know you've really been looking forward to it too. So glad it surpassed your expectations. And eventually I'm going to play this series one day, but maybe by the time I play it, I'll kind of forget some of the details you were telling about, and I'll be surprised again when it happens. But it did have me intrigued to explore it, though, to experience the story for myself at some point. So we'll see when that happens. Maybe before Last of Us 3 comes out.
Oh, so the end of the PS5, the end of the console generation.
Yeah, so right before the PS6.
Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. The graphics, man. Oh my god.
Yeah,
I can't
imagine,
wait to see what Naughty Dog's going to do with the PS5. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful game.
I'm sure this will get ported and upscaled on the PS5 rather quickly,
yeah.
I would imagine.
That's another thing, too. I do not want to play this game again.
Yeah.
At the end of this game, it was just like, I do not want to play it again.
Like, I love it, but...
At least not for a long while. Not for a long, long while. But yeah, I can't wait to see what Naughty Dog's going to do with the PS5. It looks amazing. the Wyoming scenes with the long the mountains and the fields of like wheat and grass. Oh my God, it's such a beautiful game. But yeah, we can't wait to see what Naughty Dog does with PS5. Um, Naughty Dog is a company I can't say I don't like any of their games now. Yeah, I've loved everything they've put out. So
Hey, even though I haven't played all of them, the ones I have played, I've loved. I mean, I played obviously Uncharted, the Jack and Daxter games, which I wish they would go back and do. Were always fun platformers. So I don't think they've done wrong yet.
yeah, I can't remember the reason why they haven't gone back to Jackson Daxter. I know there was a reason, but I can't remember that.
Was there?
Was,
I just thought they just moved on to wanted to do different projects, but
no, there was a specific reason. I remember it was either Neil Druckmann or Bruce Straley saying, I think they got busy with Last of Us and Uncharted 4, I think that was the reason.
yeah, that would make sense. Two big projects like that.
But anyway, yeah, this is a 10 out of 5 for me. It's exceeded my expectations. It's a complicated game. If you're just looking for point A to point B to point C, you're not going to be happy. So, yeah, that's my review of The Last of Us 2.
Cool.
You should definitely play it. You should definitely get it. Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to our news and discussion topic. Sorry, that was a really long segment.
Well, it's the type of game that needed to have its fair share and time to review.
Explanation. Yeah. And unfortunately, Joel Schumacher passed away.
Yeah, we're not moving.
I know we didn't really
brighter project or brighter new subjects after the depressing stuff you're saying with The Last of Us 2, but
yeah, Joel Schumacher passed away. Sad news. I do like Batman and Robin. It's a fun movie. Batman Forever, not so much. Yeah, just sad news. You hate to see anybody pass away.
Yeah, and obviously Batman Forever, Batman and Robin have their reputations, but Joel Schumacher has left his mark on Batman history. Love him, love movies or hate him, but I just got to say, obviously, we've talked about on the show how we're not fans of Batman Forever, and Batman and Robin is what it is. You could look at it for entertainment value and whatnot, but it's not obviously Batman's finest hour on the screen. But in regards to Joel Schumacher making those, I would highly suggest watching the special features on the Batman box set that came out on DVD and Blu-ray a couple of years back, where it has this great documentary covering each of the movies, and just how Joel Schumacher talks about the process and what it was like for him to make, in particular, Batman and Robin, and how he looks back on it. And this kind of shows what a classy guy he was, and acknowledging that how fans weren't happy with it, and even apologizing at the end of that documentary, saying if he's upset fans or caused any fans to be unhappy, he sincerely apologizes for that. And this kind of shows what a guy he is, kind of nice guy he was, and just how he viewed his fans and his audience for his movies. So you could say what you want about those movies, but Joel Schumacher was someone who showed the class and what you would hope to see from someone who is a filmmaker and is working on these projects, regardless of how you view them. He showed reflection and knows the mistakes that were made, and wasn't a director who just kind of stood by what was on screen and didn't really care about it. Like it's over and done with, not my problem anymore. You could kind of tell he took ownership for the movies he made for that, so which was good to see. So, and he isn't defined by those two movies, especially Batman and Robin, for a film director. He's obviously had some other big movies that were well regarded as well. So definitely someone who will be missing the movie industry, and like I said, definitely left his mark on the Batman mythos with those two films.
Yeah. My girlfriend is obsessed with the Phantom of the Opera, so much so that when the Broadway show came down here, I had to sit through like 4 hours of Phantom of the Opera.
So I actually saw it.
Yeah, and he directed the movie version, the film version, and I have seen that movie, heard that movie in the background 1,000 times. So
you're familiar with it.
I'm well familiar with Joel Schumacher's other movies. But yeah, he also wrote the Wiz from the Michael Jackson Wizard of Oz movie.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. But yeah, he wrote it. So just a nice little tidbit. But anyway, you know what, Tim? I don't know what this next piece of news is.
Okay.
I tried to figure it out on a basic level, but I just could not figure it out. So why don't you just go into it?
So this is the DC Fandome event, and it's basically going to be their online virtual Comic-Con panel, pretty much. You know, Comic-Con's doing their own virtual stay-at-home convention, and DC's going to have their own on August 22nd. It's going to be a 24-hour virtual convention, and they're going to have panels. They're going to have news announcements. They're going to have interviews. Should be a lot of big stuff announced here, and I'm kind of thinking this might be the place where they officially announce Michael Keaton coming back, because you got a lot of big names going to be panels. I know Zack Snyder is going to be on there talking about his kind of Justice League, and Jason Momoa, Patty Jenkins, Gal Gadot, I believe. So all the people that we know are involved in the upcoming films are going to have their own panels, and I'm sure there's going to be some announcements for what's going to come next. So this is something to look out for. And obviously there'll be comic story announcements, maybe some TV announcements. So they say it's 24 hours, so hopefully they'll release a schedule as far as what panels are going to be showing at what times. And it's all just going to be through streaming, so I'm sure there'll be a YouTube page. Right now there's already a DC Fandome page, which kind of has a virtual layout of their quote-unquote convention floor, what it's going to be. That has like their Hall of Heroes, the DC Funverse, the Insiderverse, the Kidsverse, the Watchverse. So there'll be probably different areas you can explore on the website as well to go along watching the stream. So this is kind of cool. I'm glad a lot of different companies are doing this with there being no conventions this year due to the pandemic. And instead of just not doing anything, they're giving us something to get these cool announcements and news stories, because it's always fun looking forward to Comic-Con and getting all these new announcements and stuff to look forward to. So glad that's continuing in some capacity, and it might work out even better for those of us who don't go to Comic-Con or conventions, because now we won't miss out on any of something that might have been exclusively shown at a panel in Hall H, but now they're just going to have it all online, at least on the DC side of things. And we'll see how much other stuff from the standard Comic-Con virtual panel will be. So I think this is cool and something to look forward to.
Yeah, I guess so. What are they going to do about their comics?
I know they just announced they're not going to use Diamond anymore. And
yeah, are they going digital?
No, they're still going to publish physical copies. I haven't saw if there is any official announcement as far as what they're doing. I think they're probably just going to have to use some other distributor, but I'm not sure who that was yet, if they found someone or if that hasn't been announced yet. But it's definitely going to be a shift for comic distribution with Diamond losing one of the biggest ones, obviously. So I've already seen articles how this could be a big shift for just Diamond and just the distributing process of comics in general. So we'll see what happens.
All right. So our last piece of news is that Zack Snyder, I guess, released a sneak peek of the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League.
Yeah, I think this just showed up on the HBO Max YouTube page or their social media accounts one day. And it's basically just Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman kind of looking through this almost like an Egyptian type tomb with these hieroglyphics showing symbols of Darkseid and Apocalypse, with Lex Luthor's monologue from the end of BVS about the bell being rung. And we get this one quick shot of Darkseid from a distance, get a great look at him, but on a battlefield preparing for war. So small little tease of what we're going to get in Zack Snyder's Justice League, which was cool to get. I wasn't expecting to see new footage this early. I think we're definitely going to see more, probably the first full-length trailer at DC Fandome. So, and again, already showing some stuff I wouldn't even expect was in the film or was filmed, like Gal Gadot seeing those symbols of Darkseid, and we saw the concept art of Darkseid before, but now actually seeing it in the film was pretty cool. So just some stuff to whet our appetite till we get the first official teaser, but came sooner than expected to see the first footage of it. So it was just something little, a nice sweet surprise to get during the last 2 weeks. So looking forward to seeing more.
4-hour movie, Tim. You gonna be there
for our movie?
4-hour movie. The number 4.
See, I'm lost, Dane. Am I missing a joke somewhere that I'm not getting?
Yeah, are you gonna be sitting there for the number 4-hour movie?
Oh, 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
See, now I sound like a moron. I thought you said 4-hour movie. Like you and me are making a movie. Like what? If it's 4 hours, I'll do my best. But I have a feeling it's going to be split up. I think it's going to be an episodic thing. But now you got me thinking we got to make our own Justice League movie now, Dane.
I know.
And we'll just call it 4-hour Justice League.
4-hour Justice League. So yeah, now we can move on to our review section for this episode. There's gonna be a lot of spoilers in this part, like our My Last of Us 2 review.
Not so much spoilers because this comic is definitely not as long as the last review game, so yeah. Not so much detail to go into.
So if you haven't read your books yet, pause it right here and then read them and come back, and we will be reviewing Batman the animated series continues number 6.
It might as well be called
that. Adventures. Yeah. Batman the Adventures continue number 6, and our rating scale is going to be jokes that Dane says that Tim doesn't understand.
Sad but true. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. So this is the last part of the Mentor storyline, coming with dealing with Deathstroke, trying to gain the trust of Robin and Batgirl, but at the same time trying to take down Batman. So the last issue was revealed Lex Luthor hired him, and Deathstroke was playing the long game to try to take down Batman, but Lex wants him dead now. So Deathstroke's going to put his final action of his plan into motion to try to get Batman. And Batman's going out alone. He's pretty much grounded Tim for going out against orders and following Deathstroke in the last issue. So the bat signal flies or shines in the sky as they're having dinner, and Bruce goes to Gotham with the GCPD rooftop and sees Commissioner Gordon and the other officers knocked out by some gas and sees Deathstroke there and lets him know that he knows where Firefly is located, and he's going to take him no matter what this time, dead or alive. And Batman's welcome to come, but Deathstroke is the one who's going to take him in. And so it was kind of, I was hoping we'd get a whole issue set up with Batman and Deathstroke working together, at least for one issue, because we know they're going to end up coming to blows. Deathstroke, this is all just an act to trying to take down Batman. But I was hoping for one issue we would have got them working together. But at the same time, we already know Deathstroke is behind Firefly, not really being Garfield Lynns, but being the person he's working with. It's all a setup. So they go to a dam so that it's set up to explode. But before that, Tim's talking to Barbara while she's working at the library, kind of complaining about being grounded. But Barbara gets a note in one of the books that says it's a trap, knowing that Bruce is walking into a trap. So she figures that out. And before they get there, Firefly attacks Batman, but Batman knows this really isn't Garfield Lynns. There's little differences he's noticing that doesn't fit with what he knows of the original Firefly. He says his moves are a little different, and even though the voice sounds the same, it doesn't have that psychotic edge as Batman describes it. So he knows this is some fishy's going on. So he throws like a freeze bomb at Firefly, freezing the suit, and falls down and realizes it's someone he doesn't recognize, but it's the woman who's Deathstroke's accomplice in this whole mission. So that's when Deathstroke moves in to attack Batman, realizing the game's up. He's going to go take him down now. And he explains his full plan, which another thing I would have liked to see. He goes on, he just doesn't want to take down and kill Batman because it's a job, but he wants his entire operation. And that's why he wants to earn the trust of Robin and Batgirl. So he's trying to plan this whole setup where Batman would be killed by Firefly. And Deathstroke knows where the real Firefly is. He's being in hiding with the Cobra organization in like terrible shape. And he'll eventually know where he knows where he's at. He'll find Firefly, kill him, bring him back, and show Robin and Batgirl that he avenged the death of Batman, and that'll just earn his trust with them even more so. So I just like his whole scheme and idea was, he wanted to be Batman pretty much, have his operation, have his partners with Robin and Batgirl, and be the new probably protector of Gotham, but obviously a more ruthless and lethal protector. But as he's explaining his plan, Batgirl and Robin show up, and they heard the whole thing thanks to that anonymous tip Batgirl got. So they were able to show up in time, stop him from killing Batman, and obviously no longer trusting him. And they're able to take him down. Batman is able to put a blaze Deathstroke suit. It gets caught on fire, though it's not going to burn it. It's just going to make it very uncomfortable to fight in and start burning up. And he eventually gets knocked out by a fire hydrant being thrown at his head. So they take down Deathstroke, take him into custody. But their bigger concern is figuring out who this mystery person is, who's been not only stalking them, but now leaving clues and warnings about traps and knowing everything that's going on and how he's just one step ahead. And so looks like slowly but surely we're getting to the point where they'll realize that's Jason Todd. And the issue ends with everyone looking at the Bat computer, trying to find prints on who left that note, but there's none there. And then we just see Jason standing on a rooftop on a gargoyle, smiling, with the tease that Azrael is coming next issue. So we'll see how Azrael is handled in the Batman the Animated Series universe. So overall, I liked this interpretation and how they incorporated Deathstroke. I just wanted some more. I think they could have gone deeper and explored some cool story avenues if it was a little longer. Like I mentioned, what if Deathstroke succeeded for a few issues in taking down Batman, believing he killed him, and he did take over the operation, working with Batgirl and Robin? I think that could have made for some cool, interesting stories for a couple of issues before Batman comes back and shows, obviously, who Deathstroke really is and makes Batgirl and Robin see he's not to be trusted and is actually an enemy. So cool ideas. I just wish it was explored more. The story felt kind of fast and a little too similar because mainly these three issues were them fighting a fake Firefly, which it was good for one issue, but wanted more exploration with the whole Deathstroke dynamic because the story foundation was there. I just wanted to see expanded on a little bit. So satisfying though. It's cool to have Deathstroke in the animated series universe now, and hopefully we'll see him again show up in other stories. So I'm just going to give this one 3 out of 5 jokes that Dane says that just fly right over Tim's head, and he has no clue. It sounds like an idiot.
So yeah, I guess that's it, right?
Yep. That's it for this one.
Just go over to thebatmanuniverse.net, facebook.com/BatmanUniverse, Twitter handles @BatmanUniverse, the show's Twitter handles @BatFans Podcast, Tim's Twitter handles @TimG311, my Twitter handle is @DaneSaysBanana, rate and reviews on iTunes, and you can email the show at batfanswithoutpants@gmail.com. So with that, like we say at the end of every single episode, Tim,
we love each and every one of you with all of our hearts, even the ones that are too dumb to get jokes.
We'll see you guys next time.
See you next time, everybody.